Hello and welcome to another video. We're going live once again. Eduardo, how are you? Thank you for being here. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. It's been a while again. I know we try to do it weekly, but we do it when we can. Been good. A lot's happened since the last time we met, so I'm kind of excited to start talking.
Let's hope. Let's try to do it every Friday, but I mean we try to do it every Friday, but sometimes it doesn't work out. But we're here, which is a good thing, and I'm ready to speak on what has happened in the sport. We have a lot of things over the weekend with Mungia, with AJ, and something that happened 2 weeks ago that we thought we were gonna cover right away, but we did it. We didn't cover it, which was Canelo versus Berlanga, and the big question that I asked myself is what is Berlanga celebrating? This man went to Puerto Rico. I believe it was I think it was Fat Joe who picked them up. I really don't know who picked them up. And then they did a whole parade. He uploaded. What is Berlanga celebrating? I don't know. But there was a parade in Puerto Rico.
What he's celebrating? I mean, shoot, it's probably getting into the ring with Canelo and getting out of it in his own power. I, I mean,
But
he's been
Gervonta
talking
Davis said
crazy online, and his actions and his words are usually pretty symbolic from people that win a big fight, not a guy that loses unanimously. And I mean, did he show signs of being a high level competitor? He lasted 12 rounds, sure, but so did what's his name?
so
The
did
dude,
Ryder. So
John
did
Ryder,
so
exactly.
did John Ryder, so did Munguia, so did Charlo, who was at 154 pounds. I think 12 rounds doesn't mean anything. Gervonta Davis said, "You're celebrating a failure," which is true. I mean, what are you celebrating? You're celebrating that you went 12 rounds? I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but this reminds me of that meme that says, "We got this man out."
He changed his broke dude's life.
You changes broke dude's life. That meme, it reminds me of this. This is what it reminds me of because there's no way you're celebrating going 12 rounds with Canelo. And I get it, you can say I went 12 rounds with the face of boxing. My boy, you lost that fight. There's people that didn't even give you a round against. You're celebrating what? Winning a round, winning 2 rounds. What are you celebrating? I just don't
You know,
understand.
what's kind of funny is it kind of depicts what the boxing culture is today. Like, could you imagine Canelo getting like wrapping up the Floyd Mayweather fight and then going to Azteca or Televisa or whoever and being like, "Look, like I just went 12 rounds with the best in the world. Like no one's like
You
I clearly belong at this level. Like bring me all the top fighters." No, you know who did
no,
something like that?
no.
Logan Paul.
Yeah, this is
How
the
that dumb exhibition fight? How long was it? Like 6, 8 rounds?
and he was celebrating, but not even
He
not
might as
even
well
that.
he might as well have won the fight. But we're talking about Logan Paul, YouTuber.
No,
Berlanga is an actual trained professional fighter.
but if you want to
Where is
compare
the
that,
shame?
not even Jake Paul celebrating his loss in Saudi Arabia against the Furies. I mean, he could have been like, I dropped them, I did this. This man didn't do anything. He didn't drop Canelo. He didn't do anything in that fight. He only went 12 rounds and he's celebrating like this man won undisputed at 168 pounds. A whole parade in Puerto Rico is wild.
You know, I wonder. I don't know this because I don't have any intel on Puerto Rican boxing fans. But I wonder if the support's as real in Puerto Rico as it is in New York. Because I know in New York it's not very. I feel like he's kind of losing support, or he kind of lost support there recently, kind of by his antics and stuff. And I don't know if the people really have Berlanga's back the way he thinks they do. Maybe I'm wrong.
Nah, but do you imagine a Miguel Cotto, a Tito Trinidad, a somebody doing like no, they wouldn't do this. A Macho Camacho doing this? No, they would not do this. Did Macho Camacho go to Puerto Rico and do a whole parade? I lost to Julio Cesar Chavez. No, he didn't do this.
You know who's somebody that would do this? No disrespect, no shade, but like Josue Vargas. That's something I'd expect that at hit. Like, are we really doing this for? I mean, I understand that like the money and the magnitude and
No, I understand
the
that too.
notoriety, but like, is anybody talking about and the Yildirim anymore? Does anybody
No.
care that he fought Canelo? Is
Did
anybody
Amir
talking about
did
Rocky
Amir
Yildirim
Khan
anymore?
go and celebrate? No. Did Ryder go and celebrate? Did Mungia go and celebrate? No. None of that happened. So I don't understand why Berlanga did this. It's cool that the Puerto Rico people or the people in Puerto Rico, sorry, are helping, or how do I say, like wrapping around Berlanga, supporting their fighter. But man, you just went 12 rounds with Canelo. That's all you did. You didn't do anything.
You know what it kind of looks like? It kind of looks like he found like a flyer or something for a car or motorcycle meet, and he showed up 5 minutes before it started. And he started driving in
He
front of
said
him. Started
driving, got his
recording.
fault. Mi gente, aquí estamos en Puerto Rico.
They're honking, get out the way, fool.
Get out the way,
Nah,
boy. Nah, but
I'm
yeah.
hating right now, but it's just kind of odd to see, like at this level, you're main eventing a pay per view on one of the biggest weekends of combat sports of the year, and you don't get the result you were expecting. Everyone saw exactly what they expected,
Yeah.
and yet you're supposed to come out of here looking like the winner.
It is what it is, but at the end of the day, I did think it was kind of, weird, but I do like or respect that the people in Puerto Rico are, helping, supporting, their boxer, because you wouldn't see this in another place. But then again, even though I respect the people in Puerto Rico, this man is on Twitter like he went 6 rounds and knocked out Canelo Alvarez, and is literally calling anybody out. He called out Anthony Joshua. My boy, you're 168 pounds and you went 12 rounds with Canelo and you lost. Why are you calling out a heavyweight?
Wasn't he talking about Tank as well?
He was talking about Tank. He was talking about Dubois. He said, you know what? Give me Dubois instead. Brother, what are you doing? What did Canelo do to this man?
Nah, give him the ball. I want to see it.
Hey, if he actually wants to fight somebody, Opetaya is there at 100 and 100. Cruiserweight. Opetaya is there. Matchroom Boxing. They're both signed to the same company.
That might be. I don't think that's what he's looking for. I think he's looking for
Yeah.
a name with more money than Opatai will provide. But I mean,
And,
that's a
and if,
fight. That
if you don't want to go far, Caleb Plant is at 168 pounds, and that man, I know that man's smacking his lips because he's ready. I know that man is ready, and easy work.
What do you think of a fight with somebody like Zurdo?
Nah, it would look competitive.
I think so. I think they'd sit there and bang.
Yeah, I think it would be competitive.
Manga can blow up easily.
That's to go for it. I don't think it would be easy either. But I mean, yeah, I would rather see Caleb Plant versus Berlanga though.
Oh yeah, we got to get that. We got to get Plant
I
first.
need to see that. I need to see that before anything else. Well, we're not going on and talking about the Canelo fight. What is next for Saul El Canelo Alvarez, who defeated Edgar Berlanga? I don't want to say humiliated, did he? I don't know, kind of.
I think his performance was more embarrassing for him than it was for Berlanga.
Yes. As the Canelo hater number one, like people like to call me on Twitter.
Yep, that's you.
I mean, on Twitter, sorry, on TikTok.
TikTok,
Canelo,
Instagram, Twitter,
anything.
anywhere they can find you.
I'm a Canelo hater, but the man's, I think he's going down. He's declining. His movement isn't there like it used to be. 3 years ago, this man would have knocked out Edgar Berlanga. But you can see he's slowly declining, and I get that. I think it's the age. His movement's not there like it used to be. I mean, that man was quick. Canelo used to be quick. Whenever he fought Jacobs couldn't even throw a punch at this man. I mean, he would throw him, but he wasn't landing anything. And here, I mean, he got touched up, and we seen it.
I don't know. I feel like he's kind of running out of options as far as who to fight.
I have an option for him.
Yeah, I have an option for him too. Retirement. No, too early for that.
I
But
don't know. I think he keeps saying that he wants to fight 2-3 more years. I don't think he can. I don't think Canelo can fight 2 or 3 more years. I think it really depends on who he chooses. Because that man chooses Benavidez or somebody who's a little bit, better. I don't know, at 168, maybe like a Moriel. He's now at 175, but like a Moriel or somebody like that. I mean, it could be a cherry pick gone wrong if you do something like that. I mean, we seen it on Top Rank. Whenever that man got knocked out, anything could happen.
Yeah, anything can happen. I just the thing about him now is what is left for you to do in a sport that one we haven't seen, and two is makes sense for the stage of the career that you're in. And I mean, there's what the two options you just mentioned, and maybe like
Crawford.
one other name being Terrence Crawford. So what? Two big money fights, and then one that's not necessarily as high profile in Moriel, but is equally as dangerous, if not more, than the other two. I mean, if you're looking at maybe two of those three fights happening and a couple of gimmies or tune-ups in there, I mean, I could see him stretching it out to 2 or 3 years, but
I mean, I
it
can see
kind of
that
does
too.
feel like we're getting to the end of the road.
But Canelo fights 2 times a year,
Right.
May and September. I mean, if he keeps doing what he's doing, I think he can do 2 years. Because in September they were saying that he was gonna fight in the UK against keep going his name, Chris Eubank Jr.
Right.
So if he fights Chris Eubank Jr., I can see him doing that. Fighting in the UK. He also said he wants to fight in Japan. Fighting in Japan. I I can see him do a whole international tour. I can see that. But it would have to be, he has to be smart on who he's fighting. He can fight Chris Eubank Jr. He can fight Billy, which I think would be a easy fight for him, and it would be, a big fight. He could fight people like that.
William Skull.
He could do William Skull. He could do rematches with Mugia, rematch with Plant. He could do stuff like that, and I think he could stretch out 2 years. But if he starts trying to be, his ego goes up like it did whenever he was trying to fight Usyk at 200 pounds, and he tries to go up and fight, I don't know, Benavidez or Bivol again, then I don't think it's going to end out good.
I mean, it's gonna end up good for his pockets regardless.
For
I think now he's just thinking more as far as like what's the best move for my career rather than how can I like grow my legacy,
I think
that's kind of what boxing becomes at that point of your career. You don't really, I mean, I think, and we'll probably get to that later, but I think Anthony Joshua is probably about close to that same point in his career too, where he's only got about one, maybe two more opportunities to contend for a title before no one's going to look at him the same. I know we talk about how like the O in boxing needs to hold less weight, but as after a while, the 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, they start to matter too.
But Anthony Joshua, I mean, that's a different topic, but it's different. I just think it's different, and we can explain that on a different when we start speaking about that topic. But I just think it's different. It's not the same comparing heavyweights to 168 pounds. It's not the same. I think Canelo, what should be next for him? He said he wants to fight in Japan. He said he wants to fight in UK. I think those are smart fights for him. Go fight somebody in the UK. Go fight somebody in Japan. But they're saying it's going to be Crawford in May. So May 3rd. I mean, anything can happen. At the end of the day, I think Crawford and Canelo is a huge fight. You could say like selling wise, money wise, it's a huge fight. But on paper, I mean, it's too much weight.
It almost kind of feels like a crossover fight, like your MMA and boxer when they get in the ring.
It's too much weight.
Like two different worlds colliding, even though they're both boxers. Because the weight difference is crazy.
It's huge. It's too much weight. But then again, I've always said it. If somebody could beat Canelo by doing all that jump in weight, it's Crawford. That man is smart. His IQ. When he cooked my boy Errol Spence, dang. I mean, it's just something else. It was just something else. And I think if somebody could do it, it's Crawford. But at the end of the day, I think the weight is not going to help him at all. I think if Crawford goes up and fights Canelo Alvarez, if he sits down good on his weight, then maybe. but it's so difficult if you're fighting at 147. You recently fought at 154, but you were fighting at 135, at 140, 147, going up to 168. It's not the same as your walk around weight and actually fighting. No, it's not the same. So I think that's going to affect them a lot. At the end of the day, obviously, like people say, Canelo can do whatever he wants. If it was up to me, I would love to see the fight against Benavidez. We're not going to get that. So the best thing is probably going to be Crawford, or go do your world tours. Go do UK, go do Japan, go do all these places that you want to do.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Just stay out of Saudi Arabia. Hold tight, man. Like I can't remember who tweeted this, but I saw it, and they were basically talking about how like the economics of boxing have all led to one single path, and then eventually that one path isn't going to be able to sustain everything. And then what?
But Turkey Al Sheikh is doing his thing though.
Okay, but you can coerce everybody to come join and be a part of this, but like the money's got to run out, right?
I mean, right? But I mean, Saudi Arabia. You
It's
think their
not.
money's gonna run out?
Or what if they decide, all right, our investment in boxing is horrible, we're losing all this money, no one cares, we're done, like this experiment's over. Then what?
UFC.
Shoot.
I mean, Dana has said that he wants to go into boxing. So, I mean, with Turkey Al Sheikh, anything's possible. I mean, Canelo says that he doesn't want to. Right? He was saying that he doesn't want to do anything with Turkey. But if that 150, 100 mil, 100 mil, 150, 125, I don't know, 200 gets in his bank account, you think he's gonna say no?
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
You'd put a you can wrap me up and put me in a dress all day. Let's go.
Buddy, I'll grab Turkey Al Sheikh's hand like he does to everybody. I don't care. Now, switching topic, we were talking about Canelo's previous fight, which was against Jaime Munguia. Munguia fought over the weekend against Eric Mansayan, a fighter that me and you were following for a while. He was in Eye of the Tiger, or is in Eye of the Tiger promotions in Canada. He beat my boy Ronald Ellis, and he beat other people that I follow on Instagram. And he finally fought, somebody with the level like Jaime Munguia, and Jaime Munguia knocked him out. What did you think of this fight? What did you think of Jaime Munguia's performance? Did you like him going back with his previous coach, or no?
Man, I don't know if the decision to leave Freddie Roach was a little bit too premature following the loss to Canelo, because I thought the partnership was pretty well. I thought it was a smart move there, and having such an experienced coach. But I can't say that I was too disappointed in him after this performance, especially because Bazignan came in and pretty much left it all on the line. I mean, he came in there and he didn't lay down. He went in there and did everything he can to make it a difficult night for Munguia. And I like the way that Munguia kind of weathered the storm and kind of came back and like put an end to this fight in an exciting way. I mean, they were going back and forth, trading big shots, combinations after combinations, 5, 6, 7 shots in a row were landing round after round. And I mean, for a while there, I know I was kind of tired. We were watching this together and I was almost like half asleep on your couch. But I mean, they woke me up at the end there. Munguia was electric, had a great, solid top break debut, and we'll see what's next for him.
And also that Eric Manzana, like you were saying, that man did not go there to lose. I mean, he was there trying to go forward. He was there trying to pressure. But I think it sucks. But at the end of the day, if it would have gone 12 rounds, many people had at the round, I think it ended, it was round 10.
Mm-hmm.
Many people had Eric Manzana either winning or a draw with Jaime Munguia. And it sucks to say this, but at the end of the day, if it would have gone 12 rounds, Bahrain loses. Because if you saw the cards for the judges, they gave almost every round to Munguia, and I'm like, what were they watching? Because it was back and forth. I think it was back and forth, and many people had Bansanyan winning. Even Top Rank had Bansanyan winning, and I think going into that 10th round, they had a draw. But it sucks like that sometimes. Whenever you go, you're invited to somebody else's house. Like Bansayan obviously wasn't the favorite. It's everything against you.
Yeah, I have it here. Actually, David Sutherland had the fight 86-85 going into the 10th, but that was the closest scorecard. The other one was 88-83 and 87-84. So, like you said, maybe Bazignan wasn't going to get the credit he deserved, but regardless, I mean, he improved his stock significantly.
No, he showed
We're
that he
definitely going to
deserved
see him
it.
again. That could be against who? I mean,
Man,
Rybachenko. I mean, there's
Billy Plant, if you want,
I
you could
mean,
be up there. You could be up there. Berlanga, you could be up there. Pacheco,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, those are like that's the level that Bazignan showed on was it last Saturday?
yes,
I mean, he
Friday.
oh, it was on Friday. That's right. That's right. Um, but for Mungia, he showed that he still belongs. He's not a fluke. He's his record and his resume, was questionable up until the Canelo fight, and he definitely belongs, and he's going to be a contender at this division for a long time.
And now going to what's next for him? They're saying that Jaime Munguia is fighting in December 14th, against Ronald Gravel, the only man to drop the best at 168 pounds, which was David Benavidez. And I think people were criticizing that fight. I mean, I think it's a tune-up for his fight against Minbilly, because they're saying that he might fight him next year. He also wanted a Plant, so I think Gravel is just like a stay busy fight. Then we're fighting Plant, or we're fighting Minbilly.
Which is fine. I mean, the amount of damage that he's taken in his last two fights.
It's because Munguia is that type of fighter that I've always said that he could fight with the man across the street, and he's gonna let that man hit him. I don't know why, but he likes that. He likes to get hit, and he also likes to give no. And he puts on a show. It doesn't matter who he fights. He can fight. Like I said, he can fight the man ranked number 500, and it'll still be a war. And he can fight the man ranked number 1 or the champion, and it'll still be a war. That's just how Munguia is. And Caleb Plant is similar like that too. Caleb Plant will go and do a war with anybody. That's why many people want to see Caleb Plant versus Jaime Munguia, because that would just be a war from the start to the end of that fight. It would just be a war. But I think if Munguia wants to get back into that, title shot, he's gonna have to fight the number ones in his division. I don't think names are going to give you that title fight, because people were saying, I made a video on TikTok, people were saying he has to fight Plant, he has to fight somebody who has a name. Benavidez did that. He fought Plant, he fought Andrade, and it didn't work. So I think he should fight Billy. I think he should fight William Skull and get that belt at 168. He needs to do something that makes him say, okay, well, he has a belt now, or oh, he fought the number 1, and we can get a rematch with Canelo.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what it takes to win the Canelo sweepstakes anymore, because Berlanga didn't do absolutely anything, and he got that fight. I mean, to be fair, Munguia got it first, but I mean, I could see the possibility of Canelo, giving him the rematch, just because you got to fill in the spot, and if he's still doing good, it's a credible opponent, and you can make some more money out of it, sell the whole Mexican thing. But I don't know do you think that the end goal for Munguia is Canelo still? Like, do you think he's going to move on and kind of go a separate way and find titles elsewhere?
Well, 168, it's either you're fighting Canelo for the title, or go for the IBF and you're fighting William Skull, the winner of William Skull and his opponent, which I believe takes place in October or November in Germany. So I mean, it's that. So you're going the IBF route, or you're going the other route, the unification route.
Well, I mean, there's a long line there, so you kind of gotta cross your fingers and hope that you get picked out of the lottery there, because
Well, like I said, if he gets the IBF belt, then he can be like, hey, I have my champion, so I'm here.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably his best bet then.
Yeah. Now going to a different topic that I don't like touching.
I
Anthony
agree.
Joshua. One of my favorite boxers loses by KO in front of 98,128 people against Daniel Dubois. What did you think about the fight? I think from start to end, it was a war. Like they went to take each other's head off. That's what they were doing.
I mean, I think I left, after I finished watching and catching up and all. My biggest takeaway of this was what a comeback for Daniel Dubois. He a lot of people kind of put him out of the equation after losing to, was it Joe Joyce?
Yes.
And then, he fought Big Baby Miller and okay, decent
Well,
opponent.
it's like Joseph Parker. That man,
Joseph Parker,
he
right.
also came back into the title picture. It's
You
the
know,
heavyweight division is huge. It's huge, and obviously, I think it's thanks to Turkey Al Sheik because Turkey Al Sheik loves the heavyweight boxing because that's where the knockouts are at. I mean, and it's huge. It's entertaining what he did in filling up the stadium, Wembley Stadium, and it was just something big. But like you said, these fighters, these heavyweight fighters, have showed something that these other boxers don't show, which is I can lose and I can come back from that.
and we obviously have, Fury and Usyk at the very top, kind of like 1A, 1B. But right below them, and I don't even want to say below, I mean, these are all guys that are completely capable of being champion on any given Sunday. You have Dubois and you have Joshua, obviously, that just fought. And then you have the other guys like you know, what's his name? Chinese brother. Zhang?
Zane,
Zhang, yes, Big Bang Zhang. Uh and I mean there's a laundry list of heavyweights that, could come in and win. Caballel, there's another name.
yeah, there's a lot we saw Frank Sanchez, lose. We saw this. There's a lot of big names in the heavyweight division, and it showed us a lot. Like I said, it showed us. It reminds me of like MMA, like UFC. Like you can lose 2, 3 times, you're still getting a title shot. And I
Doesn't
love that. I love that about the heavyweight division because in boxing it's so bad, and I think it's horrible that the fans are. I think they're so rude there in the sport of boxing because you lose once and you're trash, you're a bum, nobody likes you, and it's over. It's over. And so Anthony Joshua lost. He lost 3 times before this, and he was like, "I'm back. I'm better than ever." And he got the title shot again. Came up short, but I'm pretty sure if they do the rematch again, they'll sell out that stadium again.
Oh, absolutely. And
Because
to kind of,
The people in the UK, I respect them because they support their fighters from start to finish of their career. It doesn't matter if they take 2, 3, 4, 5 losses, they respect them and they're there following them. Something that we don't do in Mexico and we don't do in the US.
definitely not in the US. A guy loses once and he becomes the next meme for the month or whatever. People will jump off of ship so fast, and it's kind of crazy, but that's how it is. But I kind of wanted to talk about the fight because, you know, obviously Joshua gets stunned in round one, and I thought that he was in survival mode for the next 4 rounds. But right before he gets knocked out, he lands his cleanest shot, like clean on Dubois, wobbles him, and you think we're ready to come into a firefight. No, he gets like slumped right over like seconds after, and that's it. I mean, that was brutal. I know Joshua, has a suspect chin, and I hate to call him chinny or whatever, but we've seen what a clean punch can do to him, and kudos to him for staying up there and telling his corner he was fine. But
No, and saying that Dubois was he like he got him. He's like I got him.
yeah, I mean, it should have been over way before it
But
was. He
people
got
criticize
up
that.
4 times.
People criticize that because there's a video where he's in the corner and I can't really remember what he said, but he says something like, "Oh, he's easy. Oh, I got him," or something like that. Like basically implying that I mean he can knock him out, that he's there. And then he goes out there and loses. But people are like, "Why does he talk like that?" Blah blah blah. His ego. My brother, you have to believe that you're the best. You have to be there and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna knock this man out. He's trash." Even if that man's gonna knock you out, you gotta think that. You gotta be out there and say, "This man's easy. I'm gonna knock him out right now."
And that's different. Having that belief is different from having your corner telling you that you're up, you're winning this fight. Just keep doing what you're doing. when it's obviously not the case. That self belief is important in a boxer. I believe it's people call it being delusional, but
No,
when you're in the ring, if you don't have if you don't believe that you have a chance, you
why
should.
you in
There's
there?
no point in being in there.
No.
You lost before you stepped in there. But I mean, fantastic performance from Dubois. I love what I saw out of him. And was it Jeremiah that said like this is probably gonna happen? He said this months ago.
Yeah, Jeremiah Milton.
Yeah, friend
Shout
of
out to
ours.
him.
He and it happened. I mean,
I believe he sparred with both, right?
yeah, correct.
Yeah, he was there in the UK. I believe he was at the fight whenever this happened, and it's a huge fight, huge for heavyweights, and let's hope we can see either the rematch or if Fury loses, that's a big fight too. AJ versus Fury.
I mean, pretty much any fight you make at the heavyweight division is a big fight now.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, this fight is a casual fight, no? Because that's what casuals like to see. They like to see knockouts. They like to see people not respect each other, and this is what we saw. And I also want to say that about the heavyweights. For the casual viewer, that's amazing. These are amazing fights.
I mean, assuming the casual viewer doesn't know who Anthony Joshua is, yeah,
Ah,
of course. But I don't know how many people want to sit there and watch, one of the most, I would say, likable guys, one of the biggest names,
one of
not
the
just in
faces
Britain, but in
in
the world.
one of the faces in boxing. Anthony Joshua, like it or not, he's one of the faces in boxing. I mean, to put
Oh, of
that much
course.
people in a stadium, losing the amount of times you did, and still putting people in those seats, it's something huge. Even though people say you can't compare him to Canelo, there's only one face of boxing. It's not the same fighting at 168 pounds, 154 like Crawford does, at fighting a heavyweight. I mean, tell me a heavyweight who hasn't been dropped. I mean, they get dropped, they get touched, they get yeah. I mean, it's happened. Even whenever Fury was undefeated, he got dropped. He got touched. It happens. You're at the heavyweight division. They hit hard, hard as hell. It's not the same.
Yeah, no, that's how it is. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Frank Warren because he and
Oh,
his fighters are absolutely cooking, not just in the heavyweight division, but particularly
everywhere, everywhere. Also,
Yuri, Dubois, Parker, Joyce before his last couple of fights.
that man saying, "I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna beat Eddie Hearn," he's done it. I think he's like 11-0 to Eddie Hearn. It's crazy. It's crazy. Frank Warren, I respect that man. I think he signed Brandon Lee, and people were criticizing Brandon Lee for signing over there because they're like, "It's a UK. Why are you signing over there?" That man is smart. That man is smart, and that man is doing so many good things, which I also respect Eddie Hearn a lot. But Frank Warren, what he's doing right now is on another level.
I agree. I think he's running boxing across the pond over there, and you know, I love it. It's entertaining.
I would love to go one day to the UK to feel at least the fight. I don't care if it's a pub fight
I
at
just
a
want to go.
bar.
I want to go drink with all those
I just
people.
want to go to the UK,
Yeah,
bro. One day.
turn up. I don't care. And
I don't care.
I don't even like British fighters like that. I do. I watch them and stuff, but there's very few that I like genuinely support.
I mean, there's some cool. I mean,
Flags are
Warrington just
flags are-
retired. I mean, the wars that Warrington had with Lara, and
Mhm.
Bronco Lara, the wars he had with all these other people. I mean, Warrington is cool. Lee Wood is cool. There's a lot of boxers that I follow from the UK that are they're really, really good boxers.
No, I agree. Those are two of my personal favorites as well. Then you get the Billy Joe Saunders and
Yeah.
Tyson Fury. I'm not a big fan of like personality wise. I get it, it's funny and all, but that's like there's like the obnoxious, and then there's like the like
And then the show off, like Ben, what's the name? The show off?
oh, Ben Whitaker, is that his name?
I believe so.
Yeah,
That man,
it's
I
whatever.
mean, he's barely starting, but he's barely going.
He's
Prospect.
gonna get knocked out one day, probably in the next 5 fights or so, and then everyone's gonna be like, okay, yeah, this dude's a clown.
Hey, UK boxing is cool though. Invite us. I'm trying to pull up
Yeah, one day.
one day. Now switching topics, right around the corner. Right around the corner. Bivol versus Beterbiev. And this is all thanks to Turkey Al Sheikh. Thank you, Turkey Al Sheikh. One day I'm gonna meet you, my boy. I'm gonna dab you up, and I'm gonna tell you thank you for everything you've done in the sport of boxing. Because Bivol versus Beterbiev is thanks to Turkey Al Sheikh, because there were so many problems in the past. Bivol, that man's Russian. The WBC didn't want him to fight for the title because he was Russian. Even though Beterbiev is also Russian, but he fights in
Canada.
Canada. He lives in Canada, and they allowed him to have the WBC. And then they were saying Bivol no, and then but Bivol lives in California. There was a whole mess. But then Turkey Al Sheikh said, "Buddies, calm down. I will make the fight."
Here, we're all Saudi Arabian. We're just $500 million. Be free.
And I don't want to. I know we're gonna talk about who wins or what you think about this fight. I don't want to go a lot into this topic, but I mean, I'm gonna bring it up because it's gonna come up. Bivol's wife has been texting Arthur Beterbiev, has been commenting, putting so many things. I don't want to really go into that or what has happened between them because I'm not the person to talk about that. But they had problems together, Bivol and his ex-wife. Something about Bivol not giving money now that they're divorced. Also, I think there was, abuse and stuff like that. And now she's hitting up Beterbiev. She's texting people. She's doing the whole thing. Is that okay? Do you think that's okay? Do you don't agree with that?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, in boxing, this isn't the first time this has happened.
Oh yeah, we've seen it a lot. We've seen it a lot.
Floyd, like a decade ago.
Yeah.
Gervonta recently, I believe.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot. There's been a lot.
It's one of those things, and we don't really get to see these like European and Asian and other boxers from across the world. We don't see their business aired out like we do here in America and Mexico, and stuff like that isn't really as important to them, but here it matters. As far as the fight goes, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference in how it actually goes.
She also stated that he was injured. Bivol's wife said that he was injured, that he had so many surgeries and all of this. Later, I saw a tweet. They were saying that, I mean, that's all false, that they just talked to Bivol. He seems fine. So, I mean, is that going to affect him, what his wife is saying?
That's a good question, because the circumstances of how this fight is happening, which you just brought up, does matter as far as the answer to that question. Because all of the negative press that Turkey's gotten has been censored, bought out, shut down, this and that. So I can't imagine that he's going to let any negative attention get in the way of the promotion of, all the ceremonies, celebratorial, sportsmanship competition, whatever you want to call it. I don't think it'll be a big problem as far as, the week of when they're doing press conferences and weigh-ins and the TV broadcast. I don't think we're going to hear any of that. As far as, the fans go, they'll know. I don't think they're going to, they're going to make a difference or I don't think they're going to care whether the crowd knows or doesn't know.
Yeah, and people bring that up. They're like, why don't they say anything about Bivol's past? I mean, it's really not your concern. Like, I'm not really going to say anything about it because, I mean,
yeah, but that's also the way that being a high-profile athlete or a celebrity goes nowadays.
I mean,
go find your old tweets and they go.
I mean, it's like John Jones. The thing, John Jones. I know Dana White says he's the best and the number one in pound for pound, but I mean, if we talk what he's done in the sport, it's huge. If you talk about his personal life, that's something else. Yes, it's not the same. It doesn't match up the same, but people respect him. And I think it's the same way here. We're talking about boxing. We're not talking about personal life. We're not talking about what's happening in his life or what happened in his life. And like I said, I don't think people really care about that because they care about what's going to happen in the sport, no?
Right. I mean, I know kind of the same, but not really. But like Chris Benoit, the wrestler.
Yeah.
Like killed his family and then himself. And then nowadays you still get people talking about how he's one of the best wrestlers of all time.
No, it's like Edwin Valero.
There you go.
He killed his wife, and that man had 100% knockout. And you talk about, one time they asked Deontay Wilder, if you could have anybody's knockout power, who would he have? He said Edwin Valero. Because why? Because that man would knock anybody out. Like, he would touch you and you would go to sleep. but his life was bad. His personal life was bad, and there's a lot of things that he did in the past that was not good, obviously, and that's why he's not here with us today. But Edwin Valero had a knockout. He was 100% knockout rate, and I think that's just a lot of things that happens in the sport of boxing, sport of MMA, and wrestling. All of this happens. There's people that have their personal life, and then they have their life on the ring or on the pitch or wherever they perform. No,
Right. So I don't. I mean, those are kind of extreme examples that ended in death and.
yeah, not the same, obviously, but like I said, but I was comparing John Jones. I mean, that's similar.
Hmm. It just goes to show that no matter what's going on in these athletes' lives, like Tank just got out of jail a couple years ago.
Julio Diaz is thing that he did, even a video came out,
Yeah.
and there's people that still wear his jersey. Obviously, he's not playing, but there's people that still wear his jersey.
Trevor Bauer.
There's so many people that it's I don't know. I think just people maybe don't care or don't see it as a big harm. No.
And then you're gonna get the same people that do see it, and they're like, "All right, this guy's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Let's go for Beterbiev. Maybe you don't know who Beterbiev is.
we're gonna go for him because of that.
Yeah, So it might influence some, but I think overall, in the grand scheme of things,
But then again, there's people that say maybe he's a piece of shit, but he's a really good boxer. Or he's a piece of shit, but he's
it's all up to how you perceive the situation and if that's worth feeling like this guy's morals are trash or whatever. But I kind of do want to talk about the fight because
yeah. We kind of went out.
that I mean, it's not 100% knockout power like Valero, but it's about as freaking close as you can get.
No. It better be if. And then again, like I said, people compare about Canelo, and it always revolves around Canelo. But Beterbiev has been touched. He's been dropped. But it's a different weight class, And at the end of the day, his resume, his record speaks for itself. His knockout ratio speaks for itself. And even though that man has been touched, I mean, he's knocked everybody out. So I think it's gonna be a great fight. What is your prediction, Eduardo? What do you think about the fight? Obviously, I'm pretty sure you like the fight, but what do you think about it?
Do I like the fight, brother? This is the best fight of the year. This
Huge,
is
huge,
the
and
best fight
free
of
on
the year.
ESPN Plus.
For the free. I mean, if you want to see violence, this is it. And I think that Bivol can dance his way around the ring, touch up Beterbiev a bit, but I think Beterbiev's power is going to be too much.
There's also been a lot of things about Beterbiev about his pet substance and all this. He's older, he's 39. I don't know if that's gonna affect him in any way. There's a lot of things. I think he hits hard. I think he can knock out Bivol. He can knock out anybody. He can knock out me. He can knock out you. He can knock out literally anybody walking on this earth. But Bivol's really smart in the way he does his range. I saw him hitting pads the other day. That man's jab is like from a mile away. He like throws really, really awkwardly because it's like his distance, he touches you, but his distance is still there. So I think that's gonna help Bivol a lot. But like I said, Beterbiev hits hard, so it's just really gonna depend what we're gonna see. That's what it depends on. But then again, what I don't want to see, or what I would hate for it to see, is if we expect for this to be a huge fight, a war, and then they both start protecting each other. And it just turns into a chess match. And it turns into something boring. And it turns into something that we weren't expecting. But Arthur Beterbiev is not like that. We've seen him against Yarday. We've seen him against everybody.
Yeah, I thought about that. I'm like, what if we get like a 12-round snooze fest?
What if we get a Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin de los Santos?
No, I mean, something's got to land at some point that changes the way this fight goes, and I think Beterbiev is going to be the one that benefits from it. But there's just too much offensive firepower from both sides, and they're drastically different styles. So it's kind of interesting to see which of the two is going to be. I don't want to say which of the two is better because either one can be used for the advantage of the other. And so it's pretty much who is the better fighter, who master their style better, and who can find a way to. I think this is going to end in a knockout, either or. I believe it's going to be for Beterbiev, but I think
So
if Bivol wins, it's going to have to be something dramatic. I don't think he can, like as
boxing.
sharp as his jab is, and as good as he is at keeping distance. I don't think he can out jab Beterbiev for 12 rounds. I think
So prediction here: Bivol versus Beterbiev. You're saying Beterbiev by knockout.
round 8.
Okay. All my homies go for Bivol. I'm gonna go Bivol. Uh, I'm gonna say he's gonna outbox him. I'm gonna say he's gonna outbox him, and I'm gonna say 12 rounds. I don't think
I
he's
don't want you to think that I'm picking Beterbiev because Bivol beat Canelo and this and that. No,
no, no,
I
no,
don't
no,
think- no,
no,
I
no,
know,
no,
but
no,
it's also a thing where like we talk about biases.
no, no,
No
no,
bias here.
and
I just genuinely believe.
no, and I think so too. Like I think this fight 50-50. Like if you tell me
Yeah, for sure.
up to like yesterday, I was saying I have no clue who's gonna win this fight because Beterbiev hit super hard, but Bivol's distance, Bivol's boxing is just out of this world. But like I said, anything can happen. We've seen Bivol get hurt. We've seen him against Joe Smith. He kind of got touched a little, and we see Beterbiev get dropped. We see him get hurt against Yarde. Yarde was cooking. He was doing really, really good, and then he ended the fight. So anything can happen. But I think Bivol can box. I think he can outbox him, but it's gonna be super hard. It's have to be perfect. It's gonna have to be like Rayo Valenzuela whenever they kept telling him it's gonna have to be perfect. What you're gonna do against Pitbull? If you get touched once, you're gonna get knocked out, my boy. And it's similar. He has to be super perfect on what he's gonna do. His game plan has to be 100% what he's doing.
I don't want to compare Beterbiev to like a Deontay Wilder and say that he can end it with one punch. So all he needs is one punch, and that's all he has to look for to win this fight. Because it's probably
No,
going to take more than that. You're going to have to set it up. You're going to have to wear Bivol out. But Beterbiev does have that kind of power to where that one punch can change this fight. And in a heavyweight match, that could be the whole like that could be all you need. And so, like you said, Bivol might have to be perfect to go outscore him and get the decision victory if you can't knock him out. But the opportunity for a knockout's there. I think Beterbiev takes it.
I respect that because, like I said, I think Beterbiev can win, and I think it's gonna be a really close fight. I think it's gonna be.
I like these fights where I don't have any emotional
Yeah, I
investment.
don't either. I don't
I
either,
just
and I like
watch
that.
and enjoy. It doesn't matter who wins. There's no stakes. The winner gets to be champ.
I'm not gonna bet. I'm not gonna bet. There's nothing money wise. There's nothing heart wise. There's nothing emotionally. Nothing.
Hey, where's our other boy Chris at? I want to put my whole check now.
Nah, if
He'll be emotionally invested then.
nah, but talking about this, like I said, emotionally, money wise, there's nothing invested in this. I'm just happy it's gonna be a great fight, and I'm just there to happy to watch it.
It's coming soon, man. It's been way too long. We were supposed to have this fight earlier this year, right? Or was it last year?
No, this year, and then
Postponed.
Beterbiev got hurt. Bivol still fought. He fought somebody else. He won by knockout, and now we're here. I mean, we're super close. Like I said again, thank you, Turkey Al Sheikh, for making this fight happen. Now going to a different topic in something way different that just happened that we just saw. Devin Haney sues Ryan Garcia for battery, fraud, and breach of contract. Eduardo, what do you think about this? They can delete this on social media. They can take this fight off of Google. They can take this fight off of YouTube. They can take this fight off of the Zon, but they cannot take this fight off of my memory. Ryan Garcia defeated Devin Haney, and Devin Haney is going crazy. What do you think about this?
Well, I guess it depends on if you believe that Ryan was cheating or not, as far as like the Peds.
This has been talked about. Eddie Hearn said it. The man took him a day before. What is a day before going to do it? What does that do to you?
Well, also then what's the point of taking him?
They're saying that they believe it was to lose weight. It wasn't it was to lose weight.
Well, so much for that. He still came in overweight.
Yeah, because he couldn't make weight. That's what they were saying.
to your point, as far as the topic, I, you lost in the ring, and you're coming out a bigger loser out of the ring by suing. I remember when back in the day, a guy took an L,
I
and
remember when
and going,
Miguel Cotto took an L against Margarito. That I mean, I don't want to say anything,
that
but
genuinely cheated,
that man cheated, but
plastering his hand wrap.
and he didn't sue. He didn't sue. I mean,
What did he do after?
let's rematch. Let's rematch, Mr. Boy. Let's rematch.
Ran
That's
it
what we're
back,
doing.
busted his face in.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Cause what? Because it was different back then. Miguel Cotto lost, and I mean, we all saw what happened with Margarito, and he even got suspended and all this because whenever he tried to fight Mosley, the whole plaster just came out. But we saw everything that happened, and Cotto said, "Okay, he beat me. He took out my undefeated record. He did so much stuff." And I'm back. We're gonna do this rematch, and I'm gonna beat him, and I'm not gonna. And that's what he did. Exactly what he did. Derrick Haney, on the other hand, I'm gonna sue Ryan Garcia for this, for that, and I'm gonna talk on Twitter. I'm gonna do interviews. It's just not it. I think if you want to be the bigger person, the man, okay, the L is not on my record anymore. But I would gladly take a rematch in April whenever Ryan Garcia is not suspended anymore.
Right. I mean, this is a lot of talking and not a lot of doing from somebody that sure like believes he's the best in the world. You're fighting a guy that got completely outclassed by Gervonta, and then he comes in and beats you. So automatically you feel like a smaller man because, by comparison, you lost to the guy that already lost and this and that. And all you had to do is, like you said, wait it out, get the rematch, win, and we move on because everyone's gonna talk about how Ryan's win was with an asterisk. The cheating, the being
Yeah,
overweight, the antics, this and that.
and there's been a lot.
Already had lost. He lost his own credibility leading up to the fight, and then ended up winning. And people were like, "Wait, okay, maybe there's something here."
But
When
then again, I mean, there's been so many people, so many professionals. Dana White's team even came out and said, Eddie Hearn, they all said the man did this a day before, a few hours before. This is not going to help you in any way. It's not like you're going to take a gummy or something today and tomorrow you're going to get super buff. I'm not going to do steroids today and tomorrow I'm going to wake up like I'm Arnold or something. No, that's not how it works. It takes some time. If this man would have done it during his camp, and I get you that, then there's a problem there. Then this man was doing it during his camp, and this man did it to prepare himself for Devin Haney. But doing it a day before, it's not like Ryan Garcia did it, and the next day he had superpower strength.
right,
That
you
man's
would
always
think
had power.
you would think Eddie Reynoso would teach him how to properly use PEDs.
Ew.
I mean, the thing about this whole ordeal and the suing and the Twitter feud and all this is if Devin just beats Ryan, none of this happens.
No, no,
Ryan
no.
goes to probably therapy or rehab, takes a break from boxing,
If
figures out
Ryan,
what's going on. Devin goes on to fight. I mean, who was lined up at 140 for him?
I want to say it was Matias or it was there was different fighters, Teofimo. But
So he was
I
up
dare to say that if this was switched, Derrick Haney was the one doing pets. Ryan Garcia loses the way he lost. I don't think he sues Devin Haney.
No, he probably finds him in the street somewhere and starts throwing hands.
I don't think he sues him. I don't think he sues him. I just don't think so. I think he does it. Give me a rematch and we're doing a rematch. I think that's what he does. Or he does the Jorge Masvidal version and he finds him in the street and hits him, But I just don't think he does it legally. I just don't think it's that.
Okay, I'll ask you this though before you move on real quick. How much of it do you think is boxers back then just kind of doing it because they love the sport and nothing else mattered, and the pride and the legacy was all they did it for. So whenever they had to get their leg back, there was nothing else to do except just fight, avenge yourself there and move on. As to where now these boxers are kind of thinking more about the business and
The
how
money.
you can make more money and promote and this and that. So now you're kind of thinking outside the box in a way. Like, how can we make this a story? How can we keep ourselves relevant? How can we, protect our image while still boosting it at the same time? And so, it starts spiraling into, where your whole life is promotion. Your whole life is it's like a reality TV show almost. And
Yeah.
so I guess in a way I do understand why they would think of doing something like suing or
No, I think so too, but I think it's just for your image. It looks bad because it makes you look like a sore loser.
well, yes, because the purpose of the sport is two guys get in the ring and we see which one's the superior
Better.
fighter, right?
Yeah.
So it's the problem should have been settled in the ring. Yeah,
Not in court.
shoot, half a year later, still trying to figure out.
I
I
mean,
mean,
this
we're not
this
even trying
happened
to figure
earlier.
anything out. We already know what happened, yet they're
Yeah.
still disputing it. And I mean,
And then Devin Haney, I don't know. I mean, somebody that I respected so much. I mean, I put him against anybody now would always say he would win. But the things he's done recently, whenever he texted Eddie Hearn at 6 a.m., requesting tickets, doing
allegedly,
all this, my boy, you're Devin Haney. You were the face. Not I don't want to say the face, but you were like the best at 135, and now you just went downhill. It sucks. All these things you've done. Suing. You didn't take the L like a man like you're supposed to, and then telling Eddie Hearn, uh, give me some tickets. You're rich. I mean, buy some. And it's you tell him at 6 a.m. whenever the fight's in the same day. I mean,
brother, there are hundreds of YouTube videos of people sneaking into boxing fights. Go watch 2 or 3 of them, and then go do that and get in, and for
no,
free.
but don't text a day before Eddie Hearn, yo, and then
Bro's
Eddie Hearn
busy
said
as
he's gonna
hell.
respond, and then the next day, hey, let me get some tickets, my boy. What? And it's not like he wanted tickets anywhere. He wanted ringside tickets against Crawford. I mean, versus Crawford. Against Crawford.
Is it
Right next to Crawford. Right next to Crawford, he wanted tickets.
yeah.
So
I don't know. And I mean, obviously, Devin's career is nowhere near over. He has a lot to prove. He
oh, and he's
hasn't fell off, but it just the perception of what he's doing, it just isn't a good look.
look.
It's not
If it was up to me and I was a person that was managing Devin Haney, I would have told him, look, don't sue this man, right? What you're gonna do is that if you don't want to go back to this ring this year, you don't have to. But next year, if you want to stay at 140, fight for a title. You can fight the winner, the person, sorry, who beat Subriel Matias. I forget his name right now, but Paro.
Liam Paro.
Fight Liam Paro, get a belt. Fight Teofimo, that's a big fight too. And you can show and be like, hey, I'm still the best. Even though I lost to Ryan Garcia, I'm still the best. And you can say, I lost because of pets, I lost because of this. Because now I've showed that I have the WBO belt, the IBF belt, I have the WBA, or I have different belts. Not go to court and sue them, not on social media and start speaking. No, that's not how it works. But anybody is entitled to do whatever they want. You know, he could do whatever he wants. At the end of the day, I respect Devin Haney as a boxer. This that he's doing right here about suing, I don't like it. But I don't know. Anything you want to add, Eduardo?
I did, but I don't want to get sued by Devin for defamation. So we can
Devin, I love you. Don't sue me.
man, best in the world.
Don't sue me.
If you win, I'm always been a supporter. So
Since day one.
love.
Talking about that, like 2 weeks ago, there was a picture that I saw in my memories from like 3 years ago where they put Devin versus Gervonta, and I said Devin would knock out Gervonta.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
what I was thinking, my boy. I don't know what I
Yeah.
was thinking. I said he would all box him, not knock him out. I said he would all box Gervonta. I don't know what I was thinking, my boy, but hey, things change. Now going to a different topic, talking about something way different. What is next for David Benavidez? Is it David versus David or David versus Jesse Hart? Eduardo, let me tell you what happened. David Benavidez on his story on Instagram said, I am cooking something up huge for my next fight. Then David Benavidez said, I am ready for whoever's next on his Instagram story and tagged David Benavidez and said, are you ready? Then we went to sleep. We woke up, and David Benavidez said, "Hey, I'm not fighting Muriel, even if there's so many rumors. I'm fighting Jesse Hart next." Then we go to Twitter, and Jesse Hart put, "Somebody please tell me, because I didn't even know I was supposed to fight David Benavidez next. I don't have a contract. Nobody has told me anything. I have no clue this fight was even going to be mentioned or even happening." So, Eduardo, what is happening? What is next for David Benavidez? Is it David versus David, or is it David versus Jesse Hart?
I'll tell you what's happening, Chris. David Benavidez is a fraud. David Benavidez is a liar. David Benavidez is blue balling his entire fan base. He wants you and everyone else to believe that he's only there to fight the best and the biggest, and Moriel is obviously the number 2 guy in the division. And I'm just messing with you. No, but I find it kind of weird that Moriel didn't even know that, or he didn't even have a contract sent. And there was all these, not confirmations obviously, but the reports and the leaks started coming out, and
That it was rumored.
And even Benavidez himself was talking about it.
No, but Benavidez didn't really say names. Moriel was the one that said that he was ready for Benavidez. But then Benavidez did mention Jesse Hart. He kept saying, Jesse Hart is the next fighter. I'm fighting Jesse Hart. Then Jesse Hart comes out and says, that's not true, bro. I don't have a contract. I don't have anything. So
the Jesse Hart fight, wasn't that confirmed? Or am I tripping?
It was. It was. I believe it was
last night or this morning. I don't know. I just saw it.
I believe it was. It was said that it was going to happen, and then, like I said, Jesse Hart said that he had no clue that this fight was going to happen. Like, he had no contract.
This is his bout scheduled for December, right? With Tank
on the 14th.
Yes. Interesting. I mean, obviously, it sounds a lot better to say you're fighting David Moriel, and then if it doesn't happen, oh well, because the idea of that fight's still there. But I am kind of disappointed with this fight selection.
It is what it is. Like I said, Jesse Hart said he had no clue what was happening. I'm trying to find the tweet right now so I can quote what he said, but he didn't know it was going to happen. And people were confirming it that it was true. So I don't know who to believe. Is it David versus David? Is it David versus Jesse Hart? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if it is Jesse Hart, do you really have any expectations for a card that has that and Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach? So honestly, that doesn't really speak to me.
I mean, I don't know.
If you want to compare it to the last one, because they fought on the same card before, right?
Yes.
And that was when Tank fought Frank. And then Benavidez fought Gvozdyk, right?
Yes, Gvozdyk.
So I mean, those two fights are a little bit bigger, better than these two fights. So, I mean, that Moriel Benavidez would definitely boost.
It would be way better than obviously Hart. All respect to Hart, but I'm just saying, like,
he's coming out of nowhere here. We've heard all these options and names, and we obviously won't get every single one every single time, but I don't know what a fight of like this really does for Benavidez at this point, because realistically, I mean, this should be over within 5 rounds.
Yeah. And Jesse Hart, he's fought good people in the past, Joe Smith Jr., but like I said, it's weird that Jesse Hart said that he didn't know anything about this, and then
his boys are setting him up, man.
I mean, it's crazy. Imagine just waking up that, hey, you're fighting David. My boy, what?
What are you talking about?
Chill out. Chill out.
Camp starts tomorrow, buddy. Let's go.
I know. I was like, what? That's crazy. But like I said, is it David versus David? Is David versus Hart? Obviously, I would love to see David versus David Moriel, but more than likely it'll be Jesse Hart. It'll be Jesse Hart. It'll be the rumors say December 14th on the same card as the Charlo brothers, the same card as Gervonta Davis, and
is it December 14th or is it December 21st? Because I know the Fury also fights around there.
No, there's a whole I believe they were trying to do it the 14th, but there's so many fights that day. I believe Golden Boy has a fight in LA that day. I believe Mugia has a fight that day as well. There's so many fights on that day, so they're trying to see because it would be like if that fight happens, Gervonta Davis, which I believe it's against Lamont Roach
Mhm.
on the December 14th, it would be like 4 different events that day at like the same time. So it would be very difficult. So I have no clue how they're gonna do this, but more than likely they said it was gonna be like the 14th.
Okay, because if they do it on the 14th, Mungia fights, and then Alexis Rocha has a Golden Boy card. But if they wait till the 21st, then that's Usyk and Fury.
Yeah, like I said, the
So
14th, the
it's
14th was Rocha. Mugia is also scheduled to fight that day. It's just a whole mess. There's a lot of fights that day. The 21st, I mean, we can get Usyk, and then at night we can get the Durante.
yeah, that'd be the perfect day for me, right before Christmas.
It's it's good. Now, Eduardo, I want to go to a different topic, and I want to get serious for this. What is your top 5 fights of Canelo?
Of Canelo.
You know what? Let me tell you a different way. Eduardo Canelo's top 5 fights. Say them right now. Number 5.
Oh, hold on. You're gonna have to give me a sec because I need a.
I have it right here, Eduardo. I have it right here.
Oh, you already got him?
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you yours and you'll say why or no?
Yeah. Go ahead and just
Okay.
list them out for me. I'll
Okay.
tell you. Hold on. All right, bet. Number 5.
Eduardo's number 5 for Canelo's top fights is Erislandi Lara.
So I picked this one kind of chronologically because it was earlier in his career, but also because that was one of the first big names that Canelo fought. And although the finish was kind of controversial as far as the decision, he edged out a win against a super tough opponent and what I feel like was a pretty big stepping stone at that point in his career because that's pretty much around the point where he started, mixing it up with the Cottos and Kirklands and Gons.
Yeah.
I mean, it was after the Mayweather fight, obviously, but it kind of kept him on track and eventually pushed him up into the higher levels of competition that he consistently dominated for the years to come.
At number 4, you have Floyd Mayweather.
So same time frame. The Lotta fight came a little after this one, and this one was a loss. But to this day, I still think this is the biggest fight of his career. It turned him from a household Mexican name to kind of a worldwide mainstream attraction in boxing. And the performance wasn't terrible. He was outclassed. It wasn't the best we've ever seen him look, but to be fighting, one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest, depending on how you look at him, and to still sounding like Berlanga here, but to go 12 rounds in a we're not
Okay,
that's not
Berlanga.
it's a loss, but it was to one of the best. So I think it deserves a spot on, one of the top 5 fights in his career.
Number 3, you got Triple G. Number 1, the first fight.
God, I don't know. I think I just have a emotional connection to that trilogy. More or less the first 2 than the last one. The last one doesn't hit the same.
Yeah.
But the first fight was, for me, watching it the first time, I was kind of like, man, Triple G he's not human. He can't be human. We didn't even see Canelo at his best against him in that fight. But the way they just kind of went back and forth, I felt like I was watching a real life chess match.
It was a good fight. The first one was good. People had Triple G winning. I mean, it was a good fight.
It was very close. Yeah, it was, and I think like the reasoning on some of these while they're in the top 5 is because of how competitive they actually were. We can go all day about knockouts and how dominant he looked against this guy, but in reality, you learn the most about what a boxer is when they're faced in the fire and they got to come out of it on top somehow.
Exactly what happened there.
And so that Triple G fight was it just felt like watching two, like it wasn't two mortals in the ring. It was two monsters, two robots,
Yeah,
two
two legends,
two
you could say. It's just going at it.
unhuman beings, just going at it, and it was just so mesmerizing to watch. As much as I was, watching and rooting for Canelo, and when you're watching bias at that age, I was younger.
Yeah,
Um, you kind of see the good and you take it as like, oh, really good, but then you see the bad and you're like, oh no, like that's the worst. And so everything was magnified. Every round had such good goods and such bad bads that I'll just never forget watching that with like the anxiety and the suspense and the energy in our household. Like
yeah,
it
yeah,
could just be the guy. Obviously he was an underdog against Mayweather, but Triple G was one of those like kind of like the boogeyman. We talk about him. All the boxing fans are like, this is a guy.
this is
And
the man that can do it. Yeah, I think it
now
was.
it was kind of like seeing, is our guy worthy, or is he can he prove himself against everyone else's guy?
Yeah,
So that's why I'll put it there.
and number two, you have Billy Joe Sanders.
This one, I know we just talked about like close fights and stuff, and
It's different,
this
huh?
one was a close fight as it was. It we don't really hear much about the first 7 rounds anymore,
It
but
was boxing Canelo.
it was a very, very good fight. And up until, we'll get to it, but up until everything happened in the last round, I don't know if Canelo would have won that fight if it went 12 rounds. But
Yeah,
this one hits a little different for me personally because one, I was there
where
in the stadium, and two, this was after COVID. The world was just dying to get out and have something good and share something good, and
yeah,
being Mexican with 80,000 other Mexicans in there, turning
it's
up,
crazy. It's crazy.
doing what we do best, and just the satisfaction. We don't. This was Canelo kind of picking up his English a little bit, kind of transitioning to the Canelo we know now.
It was a day that Andrade popped up
Payday, payday, all
in the
this.
press conference.
This was after the fight, but even before, Billy Joe was talking about that little red whatever, and the ginger pussy and all this stuff that people weren't really coming at Canelo with earlier, and Canelo didn't like it, and so we kind of started getting a little bit of animosity, and we saw it more when Canelo fought Plant, and then a little bit with Berlanga recently. But those kind of fights with him are few and far between. So it was kind of special to see him in a ring with an opponent that there was bad blood with, and then to see him break his orbital bone and rally the crowd, and it's just such a moment, man. That's unforgettable. That's one of those that you can like tell your kids and grandkids about and be like, that guy was him. It was.
It was huge. It was huge. At
So
number one,
maybe it's not the most popular number two, but for me personally,
it just it's different. It's different.
for sure.
At number one, you have Triple G, the second fight with Triple G.
Yep. Number two in the trilogy is number one for me, and more or less for the same reasons as the first Triple G being in my top five. Those two dudes were just neck and neck. It was like the two best fighters in the world just going at it. And in this fight, Canelo looked a little better. Not a little. He was the better fighter, and it showed. When I say he was a little better, I mean he adjusted from the first fight and controlled the ring, and
Fought a perfect fight.
yeah, I mean damn near it's about as good as you get. And that's kind of where he showed that he was on a different level. And then clean house at 168 right after that and continue that. But that kind of like signifies a different era of Canelo, going from we talked about the Lara and Mayweather and all
Yeah.
those days to
So I'm
pretty
him.
much the Triple G trilogy forward, and that's like a different Canelo that we see.
Yeah,
And that to me is the best fight he's ever had.
yeah, basically confirming that he is the best in that division, in the face of boxing.
The
No.
pound for pound king, pay per view king, you name it. Like that's when he became that guy.
Yeah.
And just the quality of boxing that we got in those three fights, especially the first two.
The last one was
I don't know if I've seen a fight or any fights of that quality. I mean, we've seen like some bangers where dudes are just like slugging it out,
No,
but
but it was different. It was different from they're trying to kill each other to they're trying to win, but it was like a chess match. You know,
it was
at
just
any moment things could
wow.
change. So it was just so good, and they were just going
It
forward.
almost even felt rehearsed from
Yeah,
how perfect they were. You
it
know,
was good.
the ring movement, the counter punching, the just everything. Everything was just that's what boxing. I mean, if like people are always like, if you were to show a boxing match to somebody that doesn't watch boxing, what would it be? It's kind of hard to give an answer like that because you want to show everybody the crazy knockouts and all this and
Yeah,
that. But like that to me is what boxing really is. So I'll put it at number one.
number one. So if we say your list was number 5 Lara, 4 Mayweather, number 3 Triple G, the first fight, number 2 Billy Joe Sanders, and number 1 Triple G, the second fight. Now going with my top 5, Canelo's top 5 fights for me. Number 5 has to be Trout. Maybe you're saying, why did you pick this fight? Because it's random. But I think emotionally, I think it was one of the first fights. I mean, I followed Canelo's career when he was in Televisa. And I was a little kid, but I think Trout was one of the first fights. I believe it was on pay-per-view for him, and it was like $15 here. I remember I had this shit. I bought it. It was like $14.99, and I was like, "Dang, this is cheap." I mean, seeing Canelo for $15, let's watch it. So I mean, it was a. I think emotionally, it was a a good fight that I saw. And then now talking about the actual fight, it's when Canelo. I think it changed. That's the fight they gave him, the Mayweather fight. That's the fight that people started watching. Were like, okay, this kid's good. I mean, he cracked Trout, I believe, in the 7th round. He didn't knock him out, but he cracked him. His leg kind of went out, and it was something huge to see. I criticize Canelo a lot, but at that time when I was watching him, I was like, this is another Mexican. This is a Mexican dude doing this. In front of all these people, and it's crazy. To be like, this is somebody like us. This is a Mexican dude from doesn't speak English, doesn't do this, and he's doing this crazy thing in front of all these people. And that's the fight that gave him the Mayweather fight. So that's why for number 5, I would go Trout. No, number 4, I chose the Mayweather fight. People, especially many Mexican people at the time, me, I believe Eduardo was like this too. We didn't know much about boxing, and I watched it. I was, man, they stole this fight from Canelo. What was I watching?
Oh, bro, I was so mad. I was like, boxing is so rigged. This is all he paid him off and this and that, brother. It wasn't even close.
But I was a little kid. I was like 12. I was like 12 or 13 years old. I was I believe it was like 7th grade or something like that. Watching this, I was little. I believe like 13 years old when I watched this fight, and I think it's the fight that changed Canelo. Like me and you, Eduardo, have this at number 4. Both of us have this at number 4 because I believe this is the fight that showed Canelo, hey, you deserve to be here, but not right now. Not right now. You're not the face of boxing right now. Not right now. Keep trying, keep working, and you're gonna get there. And so I think this fight changed him a lot. People were saying that he needed to change trainers, that he needed to do this, that he needed to do that. No, he stayed with Eddie. It was Chepo at the time, but it was Chepo and Eddie. They were going back and forth. They were together. And he stayed with Eddie, and he showed that, a loss doesn't mean much if you know how to pick yourself up and if you know how to continue. If you lost and you lose yourself, and, many people like to say, he lost his big fight. He's going to go into, substance abuse, going to do this, get depressed, stop automatically. And then, yeah, Canelo wouldn't have been who he is now. But thanks to this fight, he learned, he came back and did a whole bunch of things. And now he's Canelo, no? At number 3, I have the Billy Joe Sanders. You had Triple G. I had Billy Joe Sanders. I think that fight was huge. I could have gone to that fight, but I didn't. I didn't end up going. But I thought it was huge. Watching that fight was just something else. It was during COVID. It was 2021. It was COVID was still there. It was still happening. You had to wear your mask and all this, and things weren't really opening up like that. There was a lot of states where it still wasn't open. But Dallas said, buddies, we're gonna open this. We're gonna open the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. We're gonna open the AT&T Stadium for you, and it was huge. It was, I believe, 79,000 and something. Almost 80,000 people were there. It was packed. It was something else. I think the just the people like to say it, but the aura that Canelo had there, just saying, I'm him, I'm him, I'm here, and I'm gonna show you, all these Mexican people just going. And then again, Billy Joe Saunders, the way he talked, usually Canelo doesn't like making it personal. He hates making it personal. He's not like a person that likes to talk a lot. But Billy Joe Saunders brought that out of him. He brought that, I'm gonna mess you up, my boy, because you talk so much shit. You're saying all of this stuff. He even brought Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury was also saying that Billy Joe Saunders was gonna knock out Canelo, and it was a great competitive fight. And Billy Joe Saunders was boxing. He was doing a great fight. Some people had him winning, and some people had him, a draw. At the end of the day, he loses by knockout or TKO. He broke his orbital bone, and it was just something else. I think it was just the magnitude of that fight was huge.
Man, I'll never forget that ring walk with the mariachis.
Oh, something else.
Fireworks, and then the music ends because he missed his cue, and then the crowd just chanting Canelo as he finishes the walk. Oh, it was just, man, it was like that one, because I watched him when he fought Liam Smith, like way back when. Everyone knew, like, oh, Canelo, the show, it's gonna be great. But this time around, it was like it was kind of like, do you understand that this man right here is who he is, and he is right in front of us, and he's about to fight?
And what surprises me of that fight, and that's why I put it on my number 3, is it was during COVID. Like, it was right. COVID was still like a thing, and to put that much people in a stadium, it's just something else.
And then, not to mention, to put all those people in the stadium with what might be the worst undercard of any Canelo undercard ever. Like, the best fight we got was a Frank Sanchez stoppage, where the guy he complained about getting hit in the back of the head.
But
horrible.
Canelo paid for that whole card, no?
And we still got our money's worth.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Something else. At number 2, I have Caleb Plant. That's my boy, man. I love Caleb Plant. I think Caleb Plant was a huge fight. I love the way he was talking. Me, I don't know if you know me, I love people that talk shit. I love it. I love that. I love people who believe in themselves, who say, I'm going to knock you out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I love that. And Caleb Plant was a man that went and he said, I'm ready, bro. I'm ready to hit you. He slapped them. He did so much stuff. Caleb Plant was just him. He was a champion. He felt like, hey, Canelo, you need me because I'm the champion. That's what it seemed like Caleb Plant felt. Even though Canelo was a face and all this, Caleb Plant was like, bro, I'm champ, so you need the belt. And it was just something else. But I put it at number 2 because that's the fight that Canelo Alvarez became undisputed. That's the fight where he showed, hey, I knocked out the champion. I did this. I backed up. I said what I was going to do. But that was also the fight that Plant won his respect from all these people, and he won a lot of fans. So I think it was a huge fight for both fighters. But for Canelo Alvarez, I think it was a fight that, obviously he made history, became undisputed at 168 pounds, and also showed, hey, you're the face of boxing. You're the best fighter right now, and it was just something else, like I said. And I believe they went they competed with the UFC that day as well. And even there was memes of, like, not a meme, it was an actual picture of Dana White watching the Plant fight during the UFC. So it was just something huge. That fight was huge. It broke a lot of, I believe it broke a record. It did so much things, and it was just something else. And that's why I have it at number 2, no?
Yeah, and I will say that it is kind of crazy that the whole beef between those two fighters started over a miscommunication.
It happens a lot. It happened recently in the UFC with Islam, Dustin Poirier. He said the same thing, the same word. And, it's really different. I don't know, but I believe in Russian. Obviously, if you translate it literally, it's bad. In Spanish, if you translate it really, super bad. So it's not the same. It's different. I believe it's like slang, no?
But the things particularly about this fight is that Caleb could have very easily just been like, no, that's not what I meant. Motherfucker means this.
No, but he went with it.
Oh, yeah, he doubled down. He said, no, so what? Let's, like, what's the problem? When, who does that? And he had no reason to do that, except for the fact that he believed in himself. And he's like, all right.
Else would have been like, bro, my bad. I didn't mean this. It means this and that. No, but he said, yeah, bro. I did say that.
Like, oh, I didn't mean that. If you want, you could just have the win. We could still fight, but, like, the win's yours.
Yeah,
I'd
press conference.
I'd be apologizing left and right, but nah, he stood there, got swung at for one, and then swung back, and
Slapped him. He did so much stuff.
it's this. It's just like that's when he kind of earned he didn't earn my respect then. He earned it the day of the fight. But in hindsight, looking back, like okay, this guy
Yeah,
he
and I
was
mean,
pretty much up here on this podium in front of the whole world by himself, and the whole world was against him.
and we've
And
been knowing that Killer Plant was him, when he beat Uskasigi, became champion and all that. But that's the day that I think people were like, okay, well, this man is something else, And
particularly the Mexicans, bro. He has the biggest Mexican fan base now.
he fights like a Mexican fighter, bro.
That
Don't
dude's
tell
one
me
of
he does it.
ours.
Don't tell me he does it. His fight against my company, his last fight, Plant is
Bro,
not afraid to mix it with you. And I think he had one of the biggest Mexican fan base, and also the day of the Canelo fight, whenever he was listo para los, yes or no?
oh yeah,
It
please
was just
all those
it was
chingazos.
just something else. I mean, Caleb Plant, it was something else, and that's why for me, I put it as number 2. And
That
number 1, we have a fight in similar. We have 2 fights are the same. We have number 4 and number 1. My number 1 was Triple G. Number 2, the second fight. The second fight with Triple G was something else. I think the game plan was very different. It was smart. He studied. He said, I saw what I did wrong in the first fight, and I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna make this man look human. And that's exactly what he did. He went in there, and it was a great fight from Canelo. He showed that he's the best at that weight class, which I believe was 160, and then he went out there and did crazy things at 168, and that's the fight that I believe gave him the hey, this man's serious and he's gonna become the face of boxing. If not, I believe he was already the face of boxing, or was already kind of getting there. No, because the first fight, even though it was a great fight, it was controversial. Some people believed it was a win for Triple G, and they robbed it for Triple G. But at the end of the day, the second fight happened, and I respect that for doing the rematch. It was pretty close. No, there wasn't like a lot of time. Like the third fight, it happened years after. So I respect Canelo for that, and I think one of his greatest fights was Triple G. The second fight with Triple G. And so if I had to read my list would read 5 Trout, 4 Mayweather, 3 Billy Joe Saunders, 2 Plant, and my number 1 was the second fight with Triple G. Eduardo's was 5 Lara, 4 Mayweather. The third fight was 3 was Triple G the first fight. 2 was Billy Joe Saunders, and 1 was Triple G the second time, putting 2 Triple G fights in his top 5 list.
Yeah, let us know which one y'all think is more accurate, or what your top Canelo fights are. We'll discuss and see what y'all think.
Yeah, I'll this is gonna be on TikTok. I'm gonna have to crop a little things because we talked a lot on these top 5, but yeah, let's see what people believe or what people think. And thank you for watching. Eduardo, I don't know if you want to add anything. We did so much, we talked so much today, and now we're 30 minutes. We were trying to go for 30 minutes, but we went over an hour. So Eduardo, I don't know if you want.
No, I think we got most of that covered in that time. But we got any boxing this weekend?
Yes, we do. Today we have Alexander Sayas versus
that's
Alexander
right.
Sayas. Yeah, he fights today. And I'm going with the Mexican.
Upset alert.
Upset. I'm going with Sosa. I'm going with Sosa.
Okay.
Sosa trained has been training, and let me take this out. Alexander Sayas versus Sosa is today. Sosa has been training with RGBA. He's there. Garcia has done so much this year. With Rayo, with Bam, with everybody, and I believe
the year right there.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's anybody that can take that away from you. And so I'm gonna go with Sosa. I think upset. I think it's gonna happen. Tijuana on top, and it's gonna be a difficult fight. Obviously, Sosa has 2 losses, but I believe he can do it. I think he can do it, and I think it's gonna be something huge. I think we've seen it in the past. We saw it last week and on Friday with the Mugia card, where was it Kid Kansas?
Right, Garcia.
he got knocked out. So I think it can happen. They have Xander as their prospect, and I think Sosa can ruin the night. And I'm going with the upset. I'm going with the upset, and it's gonna be a great fight.
All right. Well, I'll take Xander. I think Puerto Rico needs a cheerful boost.
Oh,
He's
and
gonna
and
give
I
it to him.
I think Xander for a while I was thinking Xander was gonna be the face of Puerto Rico, no? Because I always said I
It's been a
whenever
while since we last seen him, hasn't it?
I believe so, but then again, the level that they've thrown at him hasn't been as good. But I've always said whenever they were trying to put him in Berlanga, I've always like Berlanga doesn't have that much of a future, but Xander does. Xander is a very good fighter. We've seen what he can do. We've seen how he fights, and the man is very good. But I don't know. I'm gonna go with Sosa.
Okay. Well, drinks on Chris at Hong Kong if Sosa wins.
If Sosa wins, we're going to Hong Kong, Tijuana. Ahí estaremos to eat Chinese food. All right, bro. Anything you want to say?
And that's all, man.
All right, well, thank you for being here. Thank you for the people that watch. Again, it wasn't a lot this time, but next time we're gonna hope for more, no?
Sounds good.